Three, two, one. Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, welcome to the first ever edition of One Piece Grand Line Opinions and Theories, or as I like to call it, GLOAT. This is something that I've been wanting to do for a while. Started a little channel to talk about chapters, to shoot some opinions and theories. I'm a big fan of One Piece as far as it all goes. If you're anything like me, when you're a kid, you might have woken up at 6 a.m., 6:30 a.m., chucked on Channel 10 in the hopes of watching Cheese TV, but instead you got a bunch of people doing aerobics. You had to watch that for a couple of minutes. And then, shortly after that, you would end up hearing.
Next time on Dragon Ball Z.
Which, one day was then followed by...
His name is Luffy.
Next thing I knew, I was hooked on One Piece. I watched it, when I could on Cheese TV. I remember up to the Arlong Park arc, but then watching it sporadically after that, and I have vague memories of Alabasta. And then as I got older, I met other friends that had an interest in it. We kind of started to rewatch. I got up to Thriller Bark just before Sabaody Archipelago. Kind of from there, I just stopped watching it, and it'd been years and years. And then one time I was like, all right, I want to get back into One Piece and I want to see what the fuck happens. And in 4 months, I got from Sabaody up until modern day, which was around about the wedding on Whole Cake Island. So it had been a long journey. It's been a fantastic journey. I've now become obsessed. Got my little Luffy and Shanks figurine, a couple of pop vinyls, out of shot, that's fine. A couple more back there. They're the only pop vinyls I own. And after I caught up on the anime and was up to that point, I was still online and reading chapters. Or chapter reviews, I guess, not the chapters themselves, because I just went on the One Piece wiki and it was like, this happened in this chapter, this happened in this chapter, and that was my source of up-to-date information for One Piece. I didn't actually realize that you could read the manga online. It was just the end of Whole Cake Island, just before they got to the Reverie. I found out that you could read the manga. I knew that I had to be up to this Wano business. I'd heard so much about Wano, so that was kind of my inspiration to get caught up. I'm so glad I did. So yeah, with it being in the anime up to Wano now, in the manga, going on some crazy shit in Wano. I'm up to chapter 995. We're getting really close to 1000, which was kind of the driving force for me wanting to actually start this channel to talk about One Piece, because I thought, holy fuck, man, chapter 1000, if I'm gonna be talking about One Piece, I need to be up to date by that point so I can kind of share my thoughts, because that's going to be fantastic with how the story's been building lately and kind of where foreshadowing is hinted towards going, what the things are laying out to be. It's going to be an epic chapter. Oda. You know how it goes. We'll do some personal One Piece trivia about me, myself in the show. Okay, something with One Piece that I guess is a little bit embarrassing, but maybe not, depending on your stance. If you've watched it, you'd probably understand. If you haven't watched it, you think I'm a fucking idiot. One Piece has made me cry more times than I care to admit. I could probably count it on two hands, in my opinion. A couple of examples: Luffy giving Nami his hat in the Arlong Park arc, and we realize the gravity of what's at stake now with Luffy wanting to fight Arlong. Luffy putting the hat on the head, awesome scene. That really, really hits hard. No spoilers, Marineford. Senor Pink's backstory. That's probably my favorite villain backstory so far, if I'm being honest as well. He's played off as such a manly man, and you think, man, you look stupid. But it's a One Piece design. It's a One Piece character design. I accept that. That's fine. Everything that he had to do with his baby, his wife, and all that side of things, man. Fantastic character all around. Brought tears to my eyes. I won't go through all of them, but the other one that I wanted to touch on was Pudding's final request to Sanji. In the manga, I was like, yeah, that's a cool moment. It's upsetting. And I'd read about this one and what Pudding did and how they kissed and she took his memory. When the anime does the recap and it goes into the silent film style, really pretty background music. And then the scene that got me was Pudding going on her tippy toes. That's a magnificent scene. It's one of my favorite scenes in the anime, without a doubt. And that was Sanji's arc. We all know that if you've watched it. That is Sanji's arc. The character development that he got was awesome, and I feel like that moment really, really topped it off for me. And I was about to go into it. I'm not going to, because I'll start tearing up again. My top 5 characters in no particular order. This is kind of really hard. Luffy, his loyalty to his friends, his character development from this little wimpy little shit of a kid, basically, into, you know, a blossoming pirate, into and a really good pirate captain. He's gonna be the king of the pirates. We all know that, but it's the story, the journey, that's him getting there that makes him so appealing. Bato, my boy, Batty Batty no Mi, he's just fantastic. The way that he refers to all of the Straw Hats, the way that he speaks to all of the Straw Hats, and just his absolute adoration for all of them, I think is hilarious. He's really, really great. He's got an awesome devil fruit too. It's like a little bit OP, in my opinion. Those barriers, they don't break. Another one of my favorite characters, I don't know if this would prove to be like controversial or weird or what people are going to think of it, it's Kazuki Oden. His whole fucking story was amazing. It was short, you know, I think 13 chapters for his flashback. Like one of the longer flashbacks in One Piece, but one of the most compelling for me, in my opinion. And he died a hero's death. And as well, the importance of his story, the gravity that it brought to the story of the Scabbards and what they were doing. We were already cheering for them. We wanted them to be successful in, you know, taking down Kaido, taking down Orochi. And now we like really knew why. And then we just understood a lot of the story a whole lot more. We understood Odin, and I can't look past him, man. There's a reason why I have him tattooed on my body, but we'll get back to that later. Another favorite character, Doflamingo. My second favorite villain, which is then kind of controversial because I don't have my first favorite villain in here. Dressrosa was awesome for bad guy backstories, you know, they were really, really good for that. Doflamingo as well, he's just real cunning. He has a very interesting devil fruit too, you know. The first time I had it, I was like, the string fruit? That's stupid. Like, what are you gonna do with strings? And what he did to hold this control over Dressrosa, you know, and be a part of like Kaido's underground, made him a really compelling character for me. Another one, which again is a little bit weird, because we don't really know much about him. We don't get a lot from him, but I love Bartholomew Kuma. As soon as he was like first introduced in Thriller Bark, I was hooked. I was like, who is this guy? What is he doing here? What his interaction with Zoro and what happened is still one of the best scenes in One Piece, without a doubt. What happened in Sabaody with all of the Straw Hats, and then we find out his interaction with, you know who, again, I don't want to spoil too many things, and what he did. And again, I hate to overuse this word, the gravity of his decisions, of his choices and what he's doing, and the effect that it has on the story thereon. He's a fantastic character. I love his design. I love his devil fruit. It's so weird. It doesn't make any sense, but it's wicked. My favorite arcs, Impel Down. Like, Marineford's great. Marineford is an awesome arc, do not get me wrong, but Impel Down is like a star-making arc, man. We get, you know, we see Jinbei, we get the return of multiple characters from earlier in the story. Buggy, I don't want to spoil things, but if you, you know, if you do want to stay relatively spoiler-free, this isn't like that bad, but I'm going to talk about characters who return and just kind of what happens and why I love it so much. So skip ahead a little bit. The return of Buggy, Mr. 2, and Mr. 3, like Luffy's awesome in this arc. He always is. They are the goats of this of this whole arc. Like, Buggy was already awesome, but this just like elevated him to a new level. Bon Clay, Mr. 2. If you don't love him, if you don't forgive him for everything that happened in Alabasta by this point, you're cooked. You're really, really cooked. Like, he redeems himself and then some extra gravy on the side. And then Mr. 3 as well, who's just works as like a different kind of comedic relief to Buggy's character, but they gel so well together, as well as, like, you know, all the other prisoners. Some of my favorite fights, Zoro versus Mr. 1. This is really hard to remember things off the top of my head. I should have done more notes. You know, that's kind of like a very low-key introduction to Haki, the way how Zoro understands and he can like feel and sense everything like as though it's a living thing, which allows him to cut through steel, cut down Mr. 1. A lot of the fights in Alabasta are really good. That's one of the best ones. This one's my favorite fight of the whole series, Luffy vs. Katakuri. The way that fight is laid out, I hated it in the anime because there was a lot of stalling. There was a lot of Luffy just constantly getting his ass kicked, replayed animations and scenes, but like the whole way that it's all set out, you know, the interference from Flambe, I think it is, her interference, Katakuri saying this is horse shit, as if you would interfere, injuring himself. I'm going to spoil territory again. go. Get out of here if you don't want to hear this shit. And then, you know, their impending fight kind of turns into a training match, which is really, really good. Luffy learns advanced observation haki, and I'm going to say it. Snake Man, bro. Again, kind of like Odin earlier, there's a reason why I love that fight so much. I love the concept of Snake Man, and I'll explain it more in a moment. Usopp versus Luffy in Water 7. Great fight. Usopp, the absolute underdog, who has no right to last longer than 3 seconds in this fight, he really takes it to Luffy. He gets very strategic, very tactical to start off with. Luffy flips it on his head, gets his ass kicked, but it's a really great fight that kind of made me take Usopp a little bit more seriously from that point on, which is what I needed. I didn't really like him as a character up until then, but when I saw this tactical thought, this way that he was thinking of, like, I'm going up against my captain, he's stronger than me. Usopp knows that, but he goes down swinging. Good on you, cuz. And Frankie vs. Mr. Pink. In case I didn't elaborate on it enough before, how much I loved Mr. Pink's backstory, I love the fight with Frankie just as much. They had their banter constantly through it, and then off the top of my head from memory too, they have like the manly, I'll buy you a drink later, or like, let's get a drink later, or something like men. And because we've fought, it's done. Cool. It was that's a man's fight. So yeah, kind of flashing back to what I've mentioned about some of my favorite characters, to put over the importance of those characters, how much I love them and their story. This tattoo sleeve right here is a One Piece tattoo sleeve. So we've got Whitebeard, the man, Whitey-chan, Shirohige, Snake Man Luffy, little Sun Pirates logo down there. Trafalgar Law, obviously, doing Gamma Knife. Odin snuck in there. And then, of course, Bartolomeo. That was a lot more difficult than I thought it was going to be. I also have, actually, the Maranomi, and I have the Straw Hat Jolly Roger, like a kind of realism piece. So it's like a realistic skull with a realistic straw hat. That Jolly Roger on my knee. I really like that. That one hurt a lot. If you got a knee tattoo, you'll get it. You'll get it. So just kind of like other cool stuff too. With like, and COVID's not a cool thing by any means. Don't get me wrong there, but it gave an opportunity for a few of my friends to get into One Piece, like to really bite their teeth into it. So yeah, I had friends who were watching it who like were already, you know, a fair way in, but caught up. Friends who were completely new to it and started watching on Netflix. One of them just caught up. Over this 8 months, start to finish, boom shakalaka. Shout out to Edward Dusk, one of the best wrestlers in Melbourne, one day of the world, without a doubt. While we're on the topic of shout outs, shout out to JCT Tattoo for this sleeve. But James is one of the best anime tattoo artists around. Big thank you to him. I can't wait to get this colored in. What's been really cool about people catching up on One Piece, I get to relive like almost my experiences, you know, but from a different perspective. They kind of get to tell me things, shoot me some theories and ideas, which are really, really hard to respond to because, you know, sometimes they're bang on or sometimes they're close, but I can't say anything because that's spoilers. And I'm not going to spoil things because I had Marineford spoiled for me. I'm very, very conscious, like that part in Marineford. I met a guy at a party. He's a good friend. Shout out to Davo. And someone's like, oh, like you like One Piece, right, Zash? And I was like, yeah, come meet Davo. He likes One Piece as well. All right, awesome. Hey, Davo, how you going? I'm Zash and I like One Piece. You like One Piece? How hectic is it when the biggest spoiler in the world that you would never, ever want to tell anyone? He just told me. And I said, not up to there, man. I'm up to Thriller Bark. It's a story for another day. And I guess a little bit more trivia about me. I flew down to Melbourne in Australia pre-COVID. This was 14 months ago, September 2019, after One Piece Stampede came out. And we had a Madman Anime Festival. They put on a screening of Stampede in like a huge theater. And man, that was one of the coolest experiences of my life. Like having, I'm guessing here, like maybe 200 to 300. It was a really big cinema, a lot of seats, a lot of people. Being in this crew of like, you know, ravenous One Piece fans who are at this screening to watch the movie that we couldn't access in Australia, and people were losing their minds, you know, when we were getting these dream fights, when we were getting like Mihawk pop on screen, or just like, you know, cameos from all these different characters. Everyone jumped out of their seats, started cheering, started just going off their absolute rockers. It was great. So that was an awesome experience too. And things that I love about One Piece, I think I've just really gone over them a lot already. Luffy being one of the main factors of it. This might sound a bit whack, I guess, to idolize or make a hero out of an anime character. Luffy's pretty much everything that I would like to embody and be one day, with the loyalty to his friends, with the ability to show leadership when he needs to show leadership, and enjoying food and standing up to challenges and overcoming them. Like, that's what I would want. That's who I would hope to be, you know, who I develop into. And I've never been so inspired by a fictional character. So shouts out to you, bro. Fist bump. He's getting ready to fist bump me, but he's frozen in time. What else I love about One Piece, the investment that you can have in it, because it's so long. You've got a lot to bite your teeth into. There's so much story building, there's so much lore, there's so much opportunity to speculate, to make theories, which is why I'm so excited to do this, because we've still got a few hundred chapters to go, and it's going to be really awesome. So I just kind of want people to be along with my journey, because One Piece is something that I love a lot. So we're going to do reaction videos, we're going to do reviews, opinions, theories, and hopefully occasionally, like, I'd love to have guests. I'd love to have my friends on board and talk about this shit, you know? So that could be something to look forward to in the future again. One Piece is hilarious. All the serious plotline stuff aside, which I do love, there's a lot of comedic relief, which is like tasteful most of the time. And this is like the coolest thing for me about One Piece, is the way that it approaches real world problems. And I know that Oda kind of commentates on it and said there's no like real world or like social commentary or anything like that, and that's fine. The way it's presented, it isn't really like that, but at the same time, if you do look at it deeper, it parallels stuff within the real world, obviously. So it makes you think. It's made me think, and if it makes other people think too, even if that's not Oda's intended purpose and he just wants to write a really good shonen for everyone to enjoy, I feel like it does invoke a lot of thought, because I've had some cool chats with these friends who get really into it as well, that they see these things as well, and I appreciate that in not only in anime, just any show. Wants to make me think, wants to make me challenge my own beliefs. Chef's kiss. So all in all, like, I just pretty much wanted a platform to shoot the shit on, talk about One Piece, and just have a little bit of fun, try involve myself in the community, get to know other people's thoughts, and just interact more, because One Piece isn't going to be around forever. Like, it'll be archived and we can watch and access it forever, but the story will not progress forever. So it's an ample time to get involved now. Thanks for, you know, watching this. If you did, subscribe, like, share it. Let's start a fun, cool little community. Let's get this shit going. One Piece, Grand Line, Opinions and Theories, OP GLOAT. I'm out.